Welcome to today's Tea Time audio story. It's time to slow down, take a deep breath, and enjoy a moment just for you. As you sip your favorite tea, let your mind drift into the world of stories, where imagination comes alive and anything is possible. Listening to audio stories isn't just entertaining, it's also a wonderful way to relax, spark creativity, and improve your English in a natural and enjoyable way. Stories have the power to transport us to far-off places, introduce us to new characters, and remind us of life's little lessons. So whether you're here to unwind, learn something new, or simply enjoy a quiet escape, this is your time. Get comfortable, let your worries melt away, and allow today's story to take you on a journey. Let the magic begin. Leanna stood before the mirror, its cold surface reflecting not just her image, but her deepest insecurities. The dim morning light slanted through the blinds, casting shadows that accentuated every curve, every perceived flaw. She traced her fingers down the side of her stomach, as if trying to erase the shape she saw. Her eyes lingered on her reflection, caught somewhere between disgust and despair. Today would be another battle. The scale in the corner mocked her, an inanimate object with far too much power. She had learned to hate the quiet click of its dial, the way it told her stories she didn't want to hear. She stepped on it, holding her breath, as if oxygen itself could add weight. The number glowed up at her, and though it was just a number, it felt like a verdict. Failure. The word echoed in her mind. Leanna stepped off, swallowing the disappointment, trying to bury it beneath layers of forced resilience. She told herself she was more than a number. She told herself that she wasn't defined by the shape of her body. But the mirror didn't lie. The clothes that didn't fit didn't lie. The stares, the laughter, the whispers at school, those didn't lie either. Her mother's voice drifted up the stairs. "Leanna, breakfast is ready." Breakfast. The word brought a surge of conflict. Food was both comfort and enemy. Each bite was a negotiation, a silent debate between hunger and guilt. Still, she dressed quickly, pulling on loose clothes that didn't cling to her body, that didn't invite commentary. She tied her hair back, trying to make herself as small as possible. Downstairs, the smell of pancakes filled the air. Her mother was bustling in the kitchen, humming to herself. She turned and smiled when Leanna entered. "Morning, sweetheart. I made your favorite." Leanna forced a smile. Her mother meant well, but sometimes her love felt heavy, like it came with conditions. "Thanks, Mom." She sat at the table, eyeing the plate of golden pancakes. Butter melted in soft swirls, and syrup glistened like temptation. She picked up her fork, her hand hesitating. She could almost hear the voices already. "Maybe skip the syrup today. Are you sure you need all that?" She took a small bite, tasting both sweetness and shame. "You know," her mother began, hesitant, "if you ever want to go walking together, I'd love the company." Leanna didn't meet her gaze. The words were kind, but they carried an undertone she couldn't ignore. She knew the walk her mother spoke of wasn't about bonding. It was about shedding weight, about fixing what her mother believed was broken. "Sure," Leanna said softly, focusing on her plate. She left half the pancakes uneaten. Guilt for eating, guilt for wasting. There was no winning. At school, the battles were more silent but sharper. In the hallways, laughter felt like a weapon. Were they laughing at her? She tried to avoid their eyes, kept her head down, but sometimes the comments were direct. "Move, Whale," a boy muttered under his breath as she squeezed past him at her locker. Her cheeks burned, but she said nothing. She never did. The cafeteria was the worst. Tables filled with groups of girls whose bodies looked nothing like hers. Girls who wore tight jeans and cropped shirts and didn't shy away from the eyes of others. She watched them, envied them. She wondered what it would feel like to belong. Leanna sat alone most days. She liked to think it was by choice. It hurt less than admitting no one wanted to share her table. By the time she made it home, exhaustion wrapped around her like a weighted blanket. She dropped her bag at the door, trudging upstairs to her room. There, she sank onto her bed, staring up at the ceiling. She thought of all the diets she'd tried. The times she'd promised herself this time will be different. The weight that would come off, only to creep back, heavier than before. Failure after failure until it felt like that was all she was, a collection of attempts and defeats. She opened her phone, scrolling through social media. Images of perfect bodies, sculpted waists, glowing skin. Influencers who preach love and acceptance while looking flawless. Leanna wondered if they had ever felt the way she did. If they'd ever sat in a dressing room, fighting back tears because nothing fit, because nothing felt right. She wanted to change. But she wanted to be accepted just as she was, too. The contradiction was exhausting. Leanna set her phone down and walked back to the mirror. She stared at her reflection, her gaze hard and unforgiving. She hated that she saw herself as a problem to fix. She hated that she didn't know how to love what she saw. "You're more than this," she whispered, though the words sounded empty. But maybe tomorrow would be different. Maybe tomorrow she'd believe it. That night, Leanna dreamed of running. Not just running for exercise, but running away. From the whispers, the stares, the voices in her head. In her dream, she was lighter, faster, unstoppable. The wind didn't press against her but carried her forward. Her laughter, free and bright, echoed into the night sky. She awoke with the taste of that freedom lingering on her tongue, but it vanished as her eyes adjusted to the dim morning light. The same walls. The same mirror. The same body. But also, the same chance to try again. She pulled herself from bed, resolved to start with something small. She wouldn't aim for perfection. She wouldn't force herself to starve or punish herself with grueling routines. Today, she would simply move. Not for weight loss, not for approval, but for herself. A walk. Just a walk. The thought settled in her mind, not as an obligation but an offering. An invitation to meet herself halfway. She dressed in leggings and a hoodie, pulling the fabric close. She stepped outside, inhaling the sharp morning air. The neighborhood was quiet, save for the chirping of birds. She walked slowly at first, feeling each step, listening to the rhythm of her breath. There was no one to judge her here. No eyes watching, no whispers trailing behind. Just the sound of gravel underfoot, the whisper of wind in the trees. And for the first time in a long time, Leanna felt something small and stubborn bloom inside her. Not hope exactly, but the beginning of it. Her walk became a ritual. Every morning, before the world awoke with its judgments and expectations, she laced up her shoes and ventured into the quiet. She noticed the little things, the way dew clung to the grass, the delicate stretch of pink across the sky, the lazy hum of early birds. Nature didn't care about her size. It asked nothing of her but to be. And in those moments, she felt lighter. Not because she was losing weight, but because she was letting go. Of expectations. Of shame. Of the crushing need to be different. When she returned home, her mother noticed. "You're up early again," she said, smiling. "You seem brighter." Leanna hesitated, unsure how to explain the delicate shift inside her. So she just nodded. Yeah, it feels good. And it did. Not easy, but good. For now, that was enough. But with each walk, her confidence grew. One morning, she ventured beyond the familiar streets, down winding paths she'd once avoided. She found herself in a nearby park, watching joggers and dog walkers, and for the first time, she didn't feel like an outsider. She belonged here too. Thank you for joining today's Tea Time story. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of imagination and storytelling. Whether it made you smile, sparked a new thought, or simply gave you a moment to relax, we're grateful to have shared this time with you. Thank you for listening and being part of our story time. Keep dreaming, keep imagining, and we'll see you again for another magical tale soon. Until next time, take care and happy listening.